Okay, we are now recording the session. What we'll be doing, we'll have about a 15 or 20-minute presentation from Brother King. Just give us some of the highlights of his work. After that, we will then spend maybe 45 minutes in discussion. As you're listening to the presentation, do try to be thinking of topics or discussion questions that we might be able to work with during that time. Once we've completed our discussion, I will need to break some of you out of the session so that the voting members of the committee can have an evaluation time for about 15 minutes. After that evaluation, I will bring everyone back into the session and we'll announce the results of that evaluation. Okay? With that, I think we will go ahead and get started. So King, why don't you go ahead and take over the microphone and you can be sharing your slides and we'll be listening.
Okay. I'm looking for the icon for the microphone.
Looks like your microphone is on.
Oh, yeah, it's on. It's on. So can I go on?
Yes, you can go ahead and just share your PowerPoint. As you move your PowerPoint, we should be able to see each slide.
All right. Can you see the PowerPoints now?
Yes.
All right. Well, the topic for the project is leadership challenges in entrepreneurial transformation in Abuja. And here, I want to start with a word of appreciation and gratitude. My appreciation and gratitude first and foremost goes to God for the academic journey, then the Becky graduate, university, academic and non-academic staff, and the Mustard Seed Foundation. I want to thank and appreciate Dr. Larry Peabody, Dr. Lowell, Dr. Randy White, Brad Smith, Julie, Dr. Bill, my project supervisor, Dr. Martin, then Dr. D.T. John Linus, and Blessing, my wife, and the children back at home. I appreciate everything you've done. Now, this is just a little overview of the project. The project assesses Abuja, a Nigerian community in the light of the theology of work and entrepreneurship development. I examine the working lifestyle and attitude of individuals through biblical perspective of work, explore the level of IDT awareness, the resulting effect, attitude challenges, profile solutions and recommendations to the challenges. Provided a step-by-step approach to overcome project startup funds. Right, transformation cannot take place without a transformed leader's mindset. Examine transformation process through BGU 8 transformation leadership perspective to establish the Call for Work Institute in Abuja to teach theology of work and entrepreneurial development transformation concept. We view work as a calling, not as a means of making a living. Questionnaire data analyzed in order to support bridge to the intervention strategies for the project. We address work holistically, its challenges, and offer a theology of work certificate for all our graduates. In the introduction, it's established God created human beings to work and be entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurial spirit is brought forth as soon as a man or woman is manifested. Adam and Eve, Abel, Cain, Jubal, and Tubal, Cain were introduced alongside the enterprises. Entrepreneurs co-create through what he or she does. Leadership is the process by which individuals influence others to accomplish an objective, direct an organization in a way that makes it more cohesive and coherent, by Michael Nock. Leadership is all about the influence and inspirational impact the leader has on followers. In the entrepreneurial transformation process, one must see a new business spirituality that demonstrates inner wisdom, authority, and resources, challenging the scientific and the technological replacement of human values. Statement of problem. Abuja, a city in Nigeria, can be better if all entrepreneurs in Abuja engage the city with a sense of stewardship, taking personal and corporate responsibility of believers is a fundamental call to entrepreneurship. But there is a great ignorance of TOW concept in line with the biblical principles of work, business as a calling and work as a stewardship of God's creation. EDT provides humanity with ability to explore and bring to bear God's potential of creation through innovation and creativity. Lack of qualified entrepreneurs in Abuja, Nigeria, that is, those who do not understand the entrepreneur origin, the principles, characteristics, the over-dependence on government and organizations to create jobs, that makes development difficult. Hence, there's increase in daily bad work, sluggishness in the workplace, and unemployment. My interaction with a few people reveal they have little or no knowledge of the two concepts, which reflected in the work they do every day. Statement of purpose here. The project was designed to teach leaders on TOW and EDT concepts so they can purposefully steward God's resources in whatever they do. To help participants understand the spirituality of work, develop a biblical perspective of work, how work fits into God's agenda, provide participants with the right leadership perspective, direct resources into their day-to-day core tasks of work, learn principles of working effectively. The project included the distribution of a survey questionnaire to determine the challenges faced by entrepreneurs in Abuja and their willingness to learn principles of TOW. I established Call for Work Institute to provide instructions on TOW principles for entrepreneurs in Abuja. There's a roadmap here. Here is to train participants on the basic knowledge of the TOW as the foundation for transformational leaders, building organizations, enterprises that impact social needs, seek integration of faith and work in their lives and relationships, provide the understanding of entrepreneurial transformational challenges, offer transformational leadership principles to solve problems associated with biblical work issues, facilitate positive economic transformation in people's life and environment, enhance an effective workplace spirit that promotes the understanding of joy at work among colleagues, the work and the work environment. The audience, my project actually is targeted at this audience. The academic audience for my project are my project supervisor, the Berkeley Graduate University community, the committee that will ensure I complete the requirements for the doctorate degree. The local audience includes my personal learning community PLC, entrepreneurs, those who are contemplating to start up a business, my local church, and those who have not seen themselves as transformational leaders or agents. My wider audience are Christians and organizations that recognize being entrepreneurism is part of believers' calling as stewards who manage the resources of God. The NGOs, social entrepreneurs will form part of my wider audience. Stakeholders. This project stakeholders group was formed with a variety of interest groups for project longevity and ownership in the community. The group were composed of economic, social, ethnic, religious, age groups, government agencies, politicians, and educationists. Include Federal Ministries of Labor and Productivity, the Ministry of Education, the Nigerian National Board for Technical Education, the Kurudu Business Forum. I create an environment for the stakeholders to reflect over Abuja, imagine the city for a collective action on the concept of the TOW and EDT in the light of the reflective perspective of transformational leadership to bring shalom to the city of Abuja. Wrapping up the BGU leadership perspective, BGU 8 leadership perspective postulate leaders live in reality, reflect on the meaning, catalyze others with courage, and examples of people who make meaning in their own lives. It further defines transformation leadership concept as leadership which causes positive and lasting changes in the person, the team, and the society. Transformation changes the whole person, the whole city, and the whole city through the demonstration of the whole gospel. I have come to accept the 8 BGU qualities of transformational leadership: calling-based leadership, incarnation leadership, reflective leadership, servant leadership, contextualizing leadership, prophetic leadership, shalom leadership, global leadership. I developed the curriculum of the Call for Work Institute to teach the TOW and EDT concept in Abuja in the light of this perspective. Have scope and limitations. The curriculum developed for training transformational leaders is a fresh direction to tackle the problem of a poor work ethics. The curriculum did not cover all aspects of work and entrepreneurship. The project encountered some unforeseen limitation, inconvenience training period for participants, the choice of centralized locations for participants, the continuous cooperation of volunteers until the institution becomes stable, different stakeholders' views and ideas, designing the curriculum to accommodate all walks of life and issuing one certificate to all participants. Tuition fees were some of the limitations. Resource funding for the project was a major challenge. I encountered religious and cultural beliefs clashes. Measures were put in place to tackle the challenges at the implementation stage. Ministry context. The motivation to establish the Call for Work Institute in Abuja began in BGU Over 2 course in Ghana, 2010, in a reading based on Robert Litzicon books, Transforming Power, Biblical Strategies for Making a Difference in Your Community. I discovered God has intention for every society. It is a shared responsibility of the local church to form a cluster of transformational leaders in each community to make a difference. A transformational impact is only possible if the local church understands the effectiveness of shared ministries through programs that directly deal with the specific problems of the community. In the context of this project, the system and the structure of work ethics are corrupted and affected individuals' work, potential, and dignity. It will take decisive approach to the TOW and the discipline of power that is transformative to confront the political, economic, and religious systems of my society and how it functions. I realized I could search out biblical strategies, apply them to my community, and make a difference through community development, initiate an awareness creation of systems. I realized one vital part of Christian spirituality is to fully engage one's community with transformational and incarnational leadership, which is the focus of this project. Some transformational leadership in the Bible, like Abraham, Joseph, Gideon, Jephthah, King David, took a step of faith, obeyed God's command, and did great exploit in their communities. Jesus Christ was the greatest transformational and servant leader of all, who transformed people, the whole world, through transformational leadership. All came to mind. This transformational leadership all came to mind as I pondered on the project. Work challenges are not handled well in Abuja. It affected me, productivity, and led to falling up of companies. The principles I learned in BGU offered me opportunity to make difference in my community. I want to teach leaders in my community how to identify possible challenges associated with work ethics, entrepreneurship, and how the challenges can be summoned for a better enterprise. I must intervene and seek the peace and welfare of the city where I live. The challenges faced by those in the workplace and entrepreneurs are not peculiar to Abuja alone, but represent global issues that affect the well-being and society of my own organization. Now, the current situation is unemployment, underemployment, recession, and contraction in Nigerian economic GDP. It's not peculiar to Abuja alone, Nigeria, but it is a global phenomenon. Now, this current situation, I'm looking at it from the fourth quarter of 2014 up to the second quarter of 2017. That is the period in question here. The challenges is systematic and can be understood in the complexity of the three intertwined and integrated systems of politics, economies, and religion. Based on finding the Kurudu residents are dissatisfied, especially the working class, travel to and from work every day to because they are employees of other organizations instead of being entrepreneurs. This dissatisfaction affects me and productivity. My interaction with people who feel this way about work show little or no knowledge of the biblical concept of work and entrepreneurship. Unemployment rates in Nigeria. The unemployment and the non-employment rates were high in Nigeria between the fourth quarter of 2014 and the second quarter of 2017 because of the recession in Nigerian economy. Within this period of fourth quarter 2014 to second quarter 2017, Nigerian unemployment rate latest value stood at 14.20% from 13.90%, and the whole time average stand at 9.76%. It is ranked as the 39th world highest unemployment rate, and its projection for first quarter is 14.1%. The Nigerian youth unemployment rate last reported and went up to about 25.20% from 25% in the third quarter of 2016. It ranks as the world 16th highest recorded youth unemployment rate, forecast 26.148%, and is projected to be 26.15 in the first quarter of 2017. The result, the graph is in Appendix A. A sizable number of the work class people are laid off from their jobs because of company downsizing. There are fewer jobs opportunity compared to the numbers of the people that are there. The citizens experience hard times because people seem to depend on government or other organizations for jobs instead of becoming entrepreneurs themselves. Many big companies and industry declare losses or folded off for lack of adequate infrastructure, economy, or a exchange rate crisis. In August 2016, Nigerian officials formally admitted that the country was in recession. The Manufacturing Association of Nigeria in August 2016 stated that up to 270 companies had folded up as the economic situation worsened. Nestle Nigeria PLC, Nigerian Breweries, Dangote, and Lafarge Africa made a combined loss of about 51.86 billion in the first half of 2016. As soon as a nation enters a recession, the economic activity of the country begins to decline. How Project transformed a section of the challenge. The establishment of the Call for Work Institute in Abuja has helped to broaden understanding of TOW and teaches God's perspective of work, purpose, and meaning. The participants see work as stewarding of God's creation and not merely as a means of making a living. The project brought a tremendous transformation in the attitude of the community members towards work, encouraged many into entrepreneurship, created jobs through innovative and creative endeavor, and taught the participants how to deal with work challenges in the community, building relationships among different groups, entrepreneurs, and companies. The project goals of the transformation in line with the BGU leadership perspective were applied in all aspects of the project for the transformation that occurred. The TOW concepts were accepted after the great awareness was created through the intervention strategy. The cohesive and careful study of the selected text based on my own theological reflections and authors helped greatly with the project development. The relationship between the biblical text and the development of the project were clearly shown. Literature review. This session review the works of others considered very relevant to the project using the following themes: leadership challenges, entrepreneurial development, transformation, theology of work, entrepreneurship concept. Leadership is distributed not only to an individual at the top, but on every person at all levels. So it is the entrepreneur, so also is the entrepreneurial capacity vested in all humans. From creation, hence, entrepreneurial trait can be seen at all levels of human endeavor. The subject of leadership being symbolized differently in today's world, and so are the challenges in biblical leadership. God calls leaders, and they submit to the will of God. The worldly leader exercise authority on the follower, but biblical leadership, on the one hand, is by serving one another, lives an exemplary life, rather than exploiting pressure, putting pressure and manipulating the people. The literatures from these authors, Coleman Boyan and Michael Richard Buzzard, James A. Otto, Danny Goderson, Leigh Anderson, they gave help to shaping up this first segment of this dissertation. Leadership challenges in the entrepreneurial development transformation. Leadership is much more than set of skills and learned behavior, but the product of who the leader is and how staff and other workers observe the effectiveness of that leader. The subject of leadership is being symbolized differently in today's world. And so are the challenges also in biblical leadership. God calls the leader. An effective leader who can proffer solutions to seismic changes and challenging the circumstances in the face of globalization and EDT is the leader who has mastery over attributes of his or her person. For the purpose of this project, the leadership that can deal with challenges of entrepreneurial leadership transformation is a process by which a person influences others to accomplish an objective and direct the organization in a way that makes it more cohesive and coherent. It takes only a transformed leader with a BGU 8 leadership perspective to transform his people and community. Leadership is full of challenges, which must be that in virtually everything an individual do all good in the world will come to naught if the challenges are not being addressed. Similarly, in the age of entrepreneurial changes, work challenges, and competition in the business world, the leader must identify the core values needed to ensure organizational transformation in the face of changes in the work. Core values like innovation, creativity, integrity, customer relation, and good working environment must be maintained and not compromised at whatever level. Theology of work. Work, as simple as the name sounds, is fundamental to human advancement and wellness. God worked and is still working, creating, sustaining, redeeming, transforming, and consummating, and so we must work. Literatures of Timothy Keller with Catherine Lera Aldorf, Dorothy Sawyer, Patty Leah, Larry Peabody, Ari Paul Stephen, John Stott, Matson, and Otto all address one aspect of the work or the other. The Greek philosopher relegated physical work to slaves and inferiors, consider work as a defeat, a servitude activity, liberally reserved for slaves. Death was like a friend. The Bible, on the other hand, described work as a way by which humans serve or worship God through creative stewardship of God's creation. I believe it is important for Christians to realize how their faith affects the way they work, rather than seeing their job as a means for a living. Work is not in itself a cost, but a blessing. until sin corrupted it. But in Christ, the work is redeemed. Work is also the place where we can find fulfillment. Entrepreneurship concept. The segment examines the different techniques and skills entrepreneurs need, how to start up a business and deal with the entrepreneurial challenges they may encounter in consideration with some biblical and world successful entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship, whether of an individual or an institute, is a distinct feature, a behavior rather than personality trait, with its foundation concepts and theory rather than intuition based on the same principles. Every entrepreneur must have a product. The role of entrepreneurship in job creation cannot be overemphasized. Hence, the entrepreneurship development of learning principles, skills, challenges, and methodology should be seriously considered for a very good EDT. Entrepreneurs do not necessarily need a startup fund as a first priority to commence their innovative enterprises, but an inspiration, a passion, and an idea are the basic and first needed resources. I inculcated the concept of innovative management for participants to learn management technology in their workplace and improve entrepreneurial society. The literatures of Mary Rose on business, David Copperson and Diana White on AI, Peter Drucker, Donas Bill, and on decision making were considered on the entrepreneurship concept. Theological reflection. The biblical and theological reflection on leadership challenges in entrepreneurial development transformation is to explore what the Bible says about leadership, its role in work, creative and innovative venture. In the project, I examined how business can be integrated into church ministry, demonstrated how Christians can integrate their faith and work and see work as a calling, take initiative with an entrepreneurial mindset, use their talent, take calculated risk in entrepreneurship development to form for economic transformation of their community. The Bible tells stories of people who were great entrepreneurs and demonstrated risk-taking, how women are involved in EDT of their community, use what they have to produce what they need, and bring changes to their community. Mark chapter 11, verse 28-30 shows us that loving God with all of our strength comes only when we put our strength into working form, stewardship of God. Separation mindset. The Bible describes Joseph as an entrepreneur. Every institution is created with mindset of market share, making money by the entrepreneurs. Think more in market, but entrepreneurs think more in market and job creation and to make history. The entire lifestyle of Joseph in Egypt represents a picture of a great entrepreneurial mindset as against the institutional mindset. It is interesting to know that his journey into Egypt entrepreneurship in Egypt began from the dream and inspiration he received to interpret dreams and his subsequent appointment to rule in Egypt. Genesis 41, 38 to 48. Pharaoh was not mindful of who they were, but of what they could do to satisfy his needs. The Lord created humans with great leadership potential and entrepreneurial spirit. What it takes to be a transformational leader comes from within the individual and not from outside the individual. King David transformed the distressed, indebted, discontented individual, mighty men of value, changed them into mighty men of value, workers, waiters, and worship. What others see as problems or challenges, the transformed leader sees as an opportunity to innovate, create, bring about a new cause. In the context of this project, the challenges facing EDT can only be solved by visionary, tested, proven, and selfless, determined entrepreneurial leaders. This is a description of, in the research methodology, this is a description of the research method used in gathering data for the intervention strategy and evaluation results of 50 respondents to address the daily increase of bad work in the workplace because of lack of quality entrepreneurs and improper understanding of TOW and EDT concept. My objectives of the research are descriptive, correctional, and explanatory using a qualitative approach. The selection of 50 participants was carried out for maximum variation to generate credible representative data for the project. The selection involved a consideration of the key demographical variables that have an impact on participants' view of the theology of work and the EDT concept. Now, a questionnaire is in Appendix B on the project was sent to 50 randomly selected individuals representing various characteristics such as age, sex, formal, informal opinion leaders, members of various interest groups, professionals, religious, and business leaders. The results of these responses are collected and analyzed. The results of these responses are found in Appendix F in my project. The variations were intended to provide accurate information based on respondents' varied experience in their workplace for strategic intervention planning. Objectives: to find out if there are entrepreneurial challenges as to why some entrepreneurs are not succeeding in sustaining their entrepreneurship over a long time from a startup point. To find out the level of leadership ability in tackling challenges of entrepreneurial development, transformation, and its effectiveness. To determine how knowledgeable are leaders responding to challenges of entrepreneurial development, transformation. To ascertain if inspiration and entrepreneurial development are reasonably related in any form at all. To ascertain the level of awareness of the TOW concept and entrepreneurship development transformation among the several professions in Abuja. Project evaluation. A 2-page type questionnaire was used to evaluate the course. The data collected was manually processed, analyzed, and evaluated. Data collected from questionnaires were classified into a systematic way. The research methodology was based on the qualitative approach. The descriptive statistical data analysis of the data gathering was used to evaluate the accuracy of the measurement of the data gathered to provide valuable information about the various groups or class of the project. The method of editing the raw questionnaire to detect errors, omissions, to correct it, classifying the same into groups, summarize and display the same in compact form to bring out the effectiveness of project intervention was applied in this process. Furthermore, the results were based on the following. 1, calculating frequency distribution in percentile of items under study, calculating percentile and percentile rank of correlation, calculating measures of relationship coefficient between the different parameters used, a tabular presentation of the data frequency to explain the outcome of the result, mixed and open-ended questionnaire in Appendix D of evaluation method were employed in the training program of the Call for Work Institute to determine the effectiveness of the project implementation plan after the participant had completed their course. The result obtained from the intervention strategy and implementation to address the problem was overviewed, evaluated, and contextualized, and then summarized in a table form percentage. It's in Appendix G. The intervention strategy implemented was effectively monitored successfully during and after the participants' graduation in their class work assessment, group project examinations, and the alumni feedback process that were put in place. Project result and outcome. After completing the theology of work course and the EDT, all participants would understand the following. The abolishment of the sacred divide, biblical ethics in the workplace, gain the understanding of the original purpose, meaning, and importance of work, identify the essence, significance, and principle of the TOW and the EDT, appreciate work as a ministry and a calling in the light of the scripture and Christian perspective of work, explain how products and services or work is a means to worship the Lord, explain how entrepreneurship as an inborn gift continue to reflect God and his work, apply the understanding of TOW concept in everyday work, recognize humans were created to serve as stewards of the earth, relationship, power, money, and God's resources here on earth. It show how work understanding, how entrepreneurial development gives joy, and how work is linked to a greater mandate, aligns individual gifts, talents, potential, and motivation, gave individuals the freedom to make decisions and take up responsibility for what they do, applying the theological understanding to the decision and ethical situation that arise in discharging of responsibilities in their community, display the ability to design a program contextualizing individuals' own sphere on the influence and their areas of expertise, took charge and have dominion over the work individuals do, understood clearly how to incorporate the TOW principle learned, integrating faith and work into their everyday work, expand or open up more frontier fields as the result of training, knowledge acquired, and experience, define work as it cuts across gender, religion, people, and even communities, give global value to the different vocations around the world. Now, principle learned. This project was an eye-opener for me. My research work, interaction with stakeholders, community members, and community with expertise in the field of leadership and business helped me understand the complexity of the challenges of entrepreneurship around the world. During this project, I learned several personal and professional lessons, which included how to do my work. I learned fundamental facts about work and that a great entrepreneur must be visionary, bold, and take calculated risk in innovation and creativity with conscious step to bring about changes in their communities using their resources, talents, and gift in stewarding God's creation. Most importantly, the 8 BGU's transformational leadership perspectives and how to apply the same all in my activities are the things that are learned. Now, intervention strategy. The intervention strategy established the Call for Work Institute in Abuja. The role of the Holy Spirit in EDT in individuals can never be overemphasized. He is the source of all inspiration for whatever enterprise Christians engage in. The challenge associated with TOW and EDT keeps increasing day by day. Work designed for humans to find satisfaction, meet the needs of their neighbors, and bring glory to God has become an idol to human beings. People became poorer and unfulfilled because of bad work. I saw an opportunity to intervene in the situation. So I established the Call for Work Institute and designed a 12-week course to teach participants in Abuja on TOW and EDT principle. 50 randomly selected respondents answered to this questionnaire. The guiding principles applied in the curriculum development were twofold. We look at it biblically and the knowledge I have also acquired from the BGU courses. 6 sessions of 2 weeks each of a diploma certificate curriculum was designed, approved, is in Appendix C, and used as an intervention strategy to teach through the concepts in the Call for Work Institute Abuja. The goal is to teach leaders on the concept of the TOW, EDT, so they can become great entrepreneurs and less dependent on government and other organizations for employment to contribute to increasing Nigerian GDP and help the economy out of recession. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, King. Let's take a few minutes now and kind of think about some of the principles, the concepts, the learning, the outcomes, the research method. Let's just kind of begin to think about some thoughts that we could begin to discuss with King and with each other. So I'll just open up the microphone now. If you'd like to say something, just turn on your microphone and go ahead and share with us. I'll just start with a question, King. You can kind of clarify for me because I wasn't totally clear on one concept. You use the term entrepreneurial development transformation, EDT, quite often. But I wasn't, at least from my perspective, I'm not sure if that was clearly defined for me. As you use that term, are you referring to a set of principles? Are you referring to a particular methodological approach? Try to explain that concept a little more for me and the rest of the audience here.
Yes, the entrepreneurial development transformation, actually what I mean here is a concept. And in the concept, I'm trying to bring to light that we have to have like a set of principles or an organized system where individuals, leaders, and people that wants to know more about entrepreneurship can be engaged. They meet with people that are knowledgeable in that field so that they become better and good entrepreneurs. And then it cannot translate into transforming their society by the entrepreneurship they carry out wherever they are. Because I understand that basically entrepreneurship is something that is inborn. It's something everyone is born with, entrepreneurial spirit. And so they come up with it and it needs to be developed. If you realize that this entrepreneurial spirit, it's in you, you need to develop it. Now it is that concept of developing that entrepreneurship that is within you that I mean in entrepreneurship development transformation.
Okay. Do you think that concept is original with you, or is that a concept that you've kind of pulled out of the literature as you've been doing your work?
It's real. It's real from me. I saw that concept from the Bible.
Okay.
When Cain and Abel were born, the Bible introduced Cain and Abel with their profession. So it's like their profession came up from within them. It's not something they acquired from outside. Now, if you go further and look at after Cain, when he gave birth to his son Enos, the next verse tells us that he went to build a city. And so it then means that Cain actually is an entrepreneur, is somebody that is an estate valuer or that builds a community, a city. So we have never seen it. We didn't see it somewhere before. We just saw as he was being introduced, and as he gave birth to his son Enos, he went to build a city and he named it after his son. So entrepreneurship is something that is inbuilt. We need to develop it. Everybody has it in him. The story of Jubal we saw was all of them, they came up with that from within. So, but it needs to be developed. Is that development of that inbuilt entrepreneurship is what I call entrepreneurship development transformation.
Okay, good. That's helpful. Yeah, that's a concept that you have developed, and you're using that as it sounds like you're seeing that as an inborn trait in a human being that needs to be developed.
Yes, sir.
And that, so that as God gave the mandate, to steward the earth, to be fruitful, he also put that ability within people that needs to be developed. And so you're using that concept in relationship to the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes, sir.
And so that's good.
Yes,
all right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, others. What would you like to ask?
It's good to talk to you and to hear your passion about transformational and entrepreneurial leadership. I was just wondering, as an outcome of all your teaching, can you give us like one or two stories that of people, of leaders that you taught, and where their entrepreneurial leadership has been transformed by your teaching? Can you give us a couple of examples about that?
Yeah, the training was not only in Nigeria. I did this training in Togo. I had this training in Cameroon. I had this training in Ghana and many parts of the cities in Nigeria. Let me talk about.
So how many people did you train? Just to, I'm curious.
So far, we had I have close to about 150 people that have gone through this training from the different locations.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Now, specifically, last year while I was in Cameroon doing this training, I remember 2 people specifically wrote back as a response, as a feedback. I told them about investment, that whatever they get as an income in a day, wisdom demand that they go to save, and as much as they are saving, they should give a timeline so that they can be able to go back to their save and see something, because I made them to understand every one of them have this entrepreneurial traits already in them, and they need to develop it. And one of the fears of entrepreneurs is the starting fund. Oh, I don't have money. How would I start this project? They have good ideas. They have good innovations, but they are afraid there's no money. And I began to teach them, no, money should not be the first thing. The first thing you need to put in place is identify that original gift and idea that God gave you for entrepreneurship. And if you have that, these ones will be able to come. The finances will actually come. I said, people have money. They want to look at who is genuinely having something that they can invest in. So when I shared that, I didn't know she took it up. She told me she went to build a safe. She was saving one safer every business she made, just one. And she said after about the 3 months, she found out she had 12,000 safer saved. She was so excited. And that she believed that if she has done that for a long period of time, she could not have the money to actually start the investment. That's one good thing. There's a lady also in that training. Recently, I saw her picture. She took up the challenge because she believed that no, as a pastor, you don't have to do any work. You just, they believe in the sacred divide. And so when I told them that this has been broken down, one can still do this thing as a ministry. So when she called me back, she told me she took what I said into her businesses. She sent a picture of, she started an interior decoration outfit. So she goes to prepare, do decoration for wedding, do decoration for, and she was so excited. And I was so excited because I saw what I thought is actually working out.
Thank you for sharing those stories. It's always good to see the actual outcome of what you're developing.
Yeah.
I was wondering if your PLC members have questions.
Okay.
Otherwise, I have a few more technical comments to make.
Yeah.
Dr. John, Dr. Linus, do you have any questions or comments to make? You need to unmute yourselves.
I'm not sure Linus is on with us in terms of audio.
Oh, okay. Dr. D.T. John, do you have any question or comment?
All right.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
let me just quickly ask two questions.
Yeah.
Now, the first is on the entrepreneurship. You know that an average Nigerian don't want to do anything apart from white-collar job. They've been to university and they want government to give them job. And they never think about entrepreneurship. And even our curriculum in the university does not even allow it until of recent. That the new generation university has started to incorporate entrepreneurship into their curriculum. But ab initio, it was not like that. I passed through University of Ibadan, I never had anything about entrepreneurship. But what used to stiffen the fear is the issue of funds. If you want to go to the bank, you need the collateral.
Yes.
How will a fresh graduate who want to pick up this entrepreneurial spirit break the phobia of money?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. John, for that question. Actually, this is what you are saying is the crusade I'm actually settling to make good entrepreneurs realize that the first thing is not even in the funding. The first investment you need is, do you have the idea? Do you have the passion? Have you seen something you can be able to do? Because I tell people, it is what you put on the table that can be sold. But if you have these ideas in you and it's been hidden, nobody sees them. Now, one good example is the founder of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. You understand his story. He didn't have any money, but he just realized he had a passion about internet, about things that he could do using the internet. I mean, that knowledge alone that he had was like a driving force for him. And he got the opportunity and he was invited to come and build a website. And it is from building that website. Now, Facebook is everywhere today. He's a multi-billionaire today. He didn't start with money. It was the idea, the original idea he has. So what I would advise, these are young people that just passed out from the university, is good. Like I tell people when I go for seminar, I said, I advocate for young people as you're going into the school, you go into with what I call, go with the two arms. This hand is looking for certificate paper. This hand is looking for a handwork. Now, when you come out from a university, if your certificate does not give you a job, the handwork you learn will put food on the table for you. So I would advise such people to begin by, while they're schooling or after they're finished school, they should take up a time to learn a skill, learn a trade, learn something they can be doing. Those things they are doing will definitely, over a period of time, will make up funds for them. Then they can invest the fund in whatever they want to do. That's my own take for such people.
Thank you. Now, the second question is the secular and the spiritual divide.
Yes.
This has become an issue that will take a bit long of time in Nigeria. For instance, when I look at your literature review, I never see any African or any Nigerian there that you quoted that has to do with this, with the theology of work. So that means that this concept is a bit new in the country. So how will this project, how will you help people to break the secular and spiritual divide that is so thick, you know, in Nigeria?
Yeah, Dr. D.T. John, that question is a very hard one. But I think we have to start somewhere, because the issue of circular divide is very well. Let me give you one incident while we were in the school. One of the students that registered in Call for Work Institute, he pastors a church not too far from the location of the institute. When he came into the class, we began to teach and talk about this division. I made him to understand that by the concept of dignity of labor, there is no any profession or job that is better than another. Every work, every profession is as good as one another. So I told him, I said, you as a pastor, you're not different from a doctor. You as a pastor, you're not different from a housekeeper. He grew annoyed. He got angry. He left the class. He told me, he said, look, the work of a pastor supersedes every other work. I said, that's why you're missing it. And so, like I'm saying, this is a hard one, that we need to begin to champion this cause and then create awareness more and more, do a lot of seminar presentation. As God gives us opportunity, we do free seminars through medias, through televisions, and whatever medium we can have. If we do that crusade very, very well, they will come to see of a truth. Now, this is how I approach this issue to, at least to some extent, convince them. I say, for instance, the president of Nigeria, as big as his position is, I said, do you know, if he wants to build a house, he can't build a house by himself, though he has the money. He will need the expertise of builders, electricians, painters, tilers, and people that will help him do the work. What does that mean? It means as much as his profession or his position as the president is, those people's professions also are quite important, because without them, he can't build a house. Now, by the time we begin to teach them on this, the value of work, dignity of labor, and make them to understand how important that every work is a ministry, is a serving ministry for meeting the needs of the people, I am very sure they will get to appreciate it. It's going to take some time, but I'm sure we're going to get there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Brother King.
Yes,
Thank you for all these contributions and your passion for breaking this divide. I know after all these years in Africa that it's a big one to tackle. It's not over yet. But if each of us does a little bit, maybe one day we'll get there.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. One strategy also regarding to the first question Dr. John was asking is to mobilize the churches to develop some kind of a micro-enterprise bank system. I've seen that being done in Ivory Coast, and that has been really very helpful to encourage entrepreneurial spirit within church members. Is that the church itself commits to developing a fund like that would be would help for loans and things like that. Anyway, that's just an experience in Abidjan. Well, not actually, I've heard of two church groups who have done that, and that was very helpful to developing entrepreneurial spirit. Some more technical questions also. What were your research questions? What were the specific questions that you were seeking to answer? Because we see your purpose statement and your vision, your purpose statement, but I did not really see your research questions. And my second question will be, how did you respond to them, and did you respond to them?
No.
So you have your objectives, okay?
Yes.
So maybe what you need to do is to turn them into research questions, so that, because your dissertation is to demonstrate that you answered all these research questions in chapters, in the last chapter.
Okay. Okay.
So when you say, for instance, to ascertain if inspiration and entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial development are reasonably related in any way and form, you need to transform this into a research question that you can actually answer after that. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
To ascertain the level of awareness of the two concepts and entrepreneurial development transformation among the several professionals in Abuja. How were you able to answer this question, this objective, transform it into a question that you will be able to answer at the in the end of your dissertation, so that it brings a good framework into your work.
Thank you. Thank you.
As far as research methods, and this is technical, but it's important because you do some, you report on the powerful work, and I want it to be an excellent report that is academically credible. And your research methods chapter is only a 5 or 6 pages long, and it's a little bit of an imbalance. You seem to say that you have used only qualitative research, but you have also used, in fact, in your results chapter, we see that you have used also quantitative approaches with statistical measures and all that. So what you need to do is go a little bit more thoroughly into your research methods chapter, explain a little bit more in depth what your qualitative approach is like, but also that you have used a quantitative approach for such and such reasons, and how you put them all together. You want to evaluate the validity of your project and how the results are credible. And this way of evaluating is sometimes called triangulation. How did you make sure that the results that you got are valid, so that you can come to valid conclusions afterwards?
Yeah.
So this is, I know it's more technical, but the research methods chapter is the backbone for the credibility of your results and your future recommendations. And you need to make sure that that chapter is really well written. I'm very willing to work with you on that, and we can review that a little bit more further in depth.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Payne, do you have anything else?
Okay. Yeah, I can't think of anything else right now. I think we will meet as a voting committee. Yeah. We may try to summarize, recommendations we would have for the project and just kind of evaluate their project overall. If we're ready to do that, we can do that unless anyone else has any thoughts or questions you'd like to put forth right now.
Okay.
Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to break a few people out of the session for right now. Wait 1 second. Okay, so the actual voting members of this committee are Dr. Martin, Dr. John Ademeyer, and myself. So I will take everyone else out of the session for about 15 minutes. Your computer screen will say something like you are on hold. If you'd like to hear the results of the evaluation, please keep your computer on, and within about 15 minutes, I will bring you back into the session. Okay.
Thank you.
So again, your screens will start saying that you're on hold. One second. Okay, I think I've got everyone out of the session. I'm going to turn off the recording.